Hi there, it's Jennifer, and I'm here today to do another video in my series about long distance walking. I have several other videos in this series that I will link in the space below if you've not seen them. I have been long distance walking for about 9 years. It started when a friend asked me if I wanted to walk a half marathon with her. Could not imagine why I would want to do that, but I did and got sucked in, and now I'm kind of addicted to it. I'm not a runner. I am a walker. I don't like running. I don't ever intend to be a runner, but I really do enjoy walking. And to date, I have done 19 half marathons and 4 full marathons. I'm registered to do another half marathon in August, and I'm also registered to do a full marathon as a walker next January of 2016. So I'm talking about lots of different things to consider. This is not just for people who are into doing long distances or races. If you're a casual walker, or maybe you want to just get into walking a little bit more, there'll be some information in here for you as well, in all the videos actually. So in this video, we're talking about hydration and things to consider. If you are a casual walker, meaning that you're just going out a few days a week for a few miles, there's not a lot to be thinking about in terms of hydration when you're out on a walk. If you're out on a walk and it's under an hour and you're not in extreme heat, then you don't have to worry about it too much, except that you want to make sure that you're always hydrated. I actually had mentioned in another video a percentage of the number of Americans that walk around chronically dehydrated. I actually didn't get the right number. I said too little of a percentage. I think it's 75% of people walk around chronically dehydrated. If you feel thirsty, you are beyond dehydrated. So just know that if you ever feel thirsty and you think I need to, get a drink from a drinking fountain or whatever, you need to drink more than that because you're dehydrated. So it's a good idea just to be drinking water regularly throughout the day. It doesn't count if you're having soda or coffee. Some things actually act as diuretics and help you to not hang on to the fluids that you need. And so it's just a good idea to keep yourself hydrated all the time. If you are going out for a longer distance, or if you're exercising in extreme heat, and I wouldn't recommend extreme heat, especially in the middle of the day with the sun pounding on you, but in some places you can't really help it. I've trained for a couple of races when I was living in the desert in the Phoenix area, and it was just hot. I mean, it would go down at night to a cool 93 degrees or something like that. So when you get up in the morning, it's already 100. And so, but I would try to get out before the sun came up or before the sun was high. And then you, of course, need to bring not just water, but cool water, cold water with ice in it. And sometimes you even need to put it on yourself to keep yourself to keep yourself cool. But this isn't about that. This is about hydration. So anyway, if you are going out for a longer distance, let's just talk about that, not the extreme heat part. You need to bring some water with you. You can bring a water bottle to hold in your hand. I happen to think that it's kind of awkward to hold a water bottle in my hand while I'm walking. So what I do is I have this thing, it's called a hydration belt. I only have one of the bottles here. But this belt has little clips, which you can see on here. And then and it has 4 bottles. These are 8-ounce bottles, and it has a little, sorry, I didn't have the lid for it. It's just got a little thing that you pop open and squirt in your mouth. But anyway, this has like a little ridge in here, and it snaps in so that it stays on. And then this is a Velcroed belt, and it straps around your waist. There are 4 bottles in this one. Sometimes you can get ones that have 2 bottles, and some of them will have, they don't snap in, they have like a little strapped pouch that you slide them in. So there's different companies that make them. I'll list information over on my blog at BusyBeingJen.com, and I'll put the link to the exact post in the space below so you can go over there and check some of this stuff out. The other thing I like about a hydration belt is that they have pockets. And this one came with 1 pocket, and I ordered an extra pocket. I love to have the extra pockets when I'm out for a really long time or during a race, because then I can hold all kinds of stuff like my phone or Kleenex or sunscreen or a lip balm or something like that, and have those things in the pocket there, and my hands are free. So, so that's kind of nice. But okay, so in my hydration belt, I have 4 places where I can put liquid in these bottles. And generally what people say when you're out on a walk is that you should take a couple chugs of water every 20 minutes. I'm gonna also link some information to some experts who can give you more information about this. Remember, I'm not an expert, I'm not a trainer. I've just done a whole ton of races and long distance walking. So, so one of the things I had read was, take a couple chugs of water, just every 20 minutes, just kind of keep yourself hydrated. So you might be thinking, can I just bring sports drink instead? Well, let me tell you. First of all, let me just say that when you're hydrating at home, don't drink sports drinks. They have too much sugar. They have a ton of salt in them. And if you're not working out, you don't need that. You just need to be hydrated. You're gonna get enough salt in the food that you eat every day that you can just consume water when you're not exercising and you're fine. When you go out for a shorter distance, you do not need a sports drink. If you're gonna be out for just a few miles, you really don't need a sports drink. In fact, it tells your body, this is something I read, it tells your body that you're working harder than you are, and you don't want to tell your body that until later. And so the stuff that I had read said don't drink a sports drink until after your 4th mile. So for a runner, that might be 40 minutes or less if you're a fast runner. And if you're a walker, that's going to be about an hour. For me, I keep a 15-minute mile pace. So after the first hour is when I will consume a sports drink. So if I'm going out, say for 6 miles, and that's going to be an hour and a half, then typically what I'll do is I'll fill up 3 of my bottles with water and 1 of them with sports drink. I just drink water up until I get to the 4th mile, past the 4th mile or the first hour, and then I will drink some sports drink. It's really important when you are out for long distances to drink a sports drink or have some kind of electrolyte replacement. Because what happens is we need to have electrolytes, we need to have sodium in our bodies to be able to hold on to water. And so there is actually a really awful condition, a deadly condition called hyponatremia. It's something that some marathoners have been known to die of. They consume a ton of water, but their body is flushing out all the salt, and then they don't have the ability to hang on to the water, so they drink tons of water. They're not replacing the sodium that they're losing through their sweat, and then it's a deadly condition. So because you just cannot hold on to the fluid. So always make sure that when you're going out for longer distances that you're consuming either a sports drink or some kind of product that gives you electrolyte replacement after you've been out there for a little while. So one of the things that I do, because I do drink a sports drink when I'm out for a longer period of time, but when I do races or if I'm training for a really long race like a marathon, then at some point I will consume, these are by Jelly Belly. They are jelly beans, but they're called sport beans. This particular kind has caffeine in it. You can get them with caffeine or without. And they actually will, this kind will, it has some carbs to give you a little bit of energy. It has electrolytes and it also has vitamins B and C. There are about 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, I think there are about 12 beans in a packet. The instructions on here say that you're supposed to eat the entire packet of beans and then follow it with some water. Let me see what it says. Always consume with water. Okay, it doesn't say how much, but I've heard that you're supposed to have like a half to a full cup of water with this. Because if you just consume a bunch of gloppy, gooey jelly beans and they just sit in your stomach, they're not going to do you any good. But if you can follow it with water, it will help it to dissolve and then you get all that stuff absorbed into your body. So I usually bring a pack or 2 of these along with me when I go on longer races, and that helps to make sure that I'm replenishing electrolytes, which is super, super, super important. So most of the time for my past races, I've tried to always be thinking about what I'm going to consume next. Actually have I'll wear like a little band or something, and I'll put on there what I'm supposed to do at certain miles, like drink at mile 4, and have you know, my sports beans at mile 6, and have something for energy at another mile, and all that kind of stuff to kind of remind myself, because I have actually done it wrong a few times. My very first full marathon, I was using electrolyte replacements. I just don't think I did it enough. I trained for my full marathon when I was living in the desert in Phoenix, but it was in the spring, so the weather was beautiful. Wasn't terribly hot. Of course you sweat, but you're not gonna be sweating excessively because it really wasn't terribly hot. And then the race I did was in San Diego. And it was at the beginning of the race, it was 70 degrees and 70% humidity. And the first half of the course was nowhere near the ocean. So there was no ocean breeze. It was just kind of back in through the hills and stuff like that. And I'm telling you, I've never sweat so much in my whole life. There was not a dry article of clothing on my body anywhere. I mean, I was absolutely soaked to the skin. And I'm not a heavy sweater either. My ponytail was dripping sweat off the end. I was wearing a hat with a bill on it. It was wet all the way out to the end. I mean, I was sweating so much. I drank so much water during that race. I just couldn't believe how much water I was drinking. Never had I had that much in all of my training, but I never sweat that much either. So I was using electrolyte replacements, but in hindsight, I should have had more. So thankfully, I didn't get hyponatremia because I'm still here. But what I did have happen to me afterwards, I really felt fine after the race was over. And oh, sorry, I'm twisting around my necklace. I don't know if you can see this, but it's a little runner girl. Well, I'll have to pop in a picture of that. Anyways, you can see it. It's kind of cute. But anyway, so what happened afterwards, I felt fine afterwards. I got back to our hotel. I took a shower, and then I was freezing. I put on long pants, long sleeve shirt, and I got under the covers of the blanket, and I was just shivering. And I had that happen to me one other time when I was training for a different marathon, not during a race, but or not after a race, but it was after a training thing. And that was just a sign to me that I was not getting, my understanding is that that was happening because I hadn't had enough electrolyte replacements. You want to be really careful with that. I had another situation where I was training for a race that was in Los Angeles in October. I was, again, living in the Phoenix area where it was hot. And because the race was in October, a lot of our training was in the summer in Phoenix where it's really, really hot. And so we actually, my friend and I would actually go out for some of our longer ones. We'd get there before the sun came up. We'd be out walking at like 4 because we didn't want to be out there when the sun came up. It was already hot enough when we started. And so we were doing this one training walk. We were probably out for 18 miles or something like that. And I was doing pretty well for most of it until we were probably in the last 3 miles. And sorry, there's a fly. But anyway, the last 3 miles probably, and the sun was just overhead, and it was beating down on my head, and man, I felt like my head was gonna explode. I seriously felt like someone had taken like a hot poker and just jammed it through my head. And thankfully, where we were doing our walk was a place where a lot of people go and work out, and so there are these running teams and clubs that put water jugs out for people along the way. And so we went over to one of them, and there was still ice in it. So I was actually able to take some of it and dump it straight over the top of my head, which really helped. So I would say too, in terms of hydration, to make sure that you are working out in an area when you're going long distances and you're walking far from home, to make sure that you are in a place where you can stop and get more water, where there's a convenience market nearby or someplace that you can get ice, because especially if it's really hot, you need to have a way to cool off as well as hydrate, and you really don't want to run out of your water in the middle of a long walk. Now this right here, with 4 of these bottles in it would be fine for me for if I'm out for just a couple of, I don't know, hour and a half or so, 2 hours maybe. But if I'm gonna go out when I'm like in the fall, I'm gonna be training long distances for this full marathon. I definitely need to make sure that we are going past some place where I can refill them, or if we go to some place that's away from our house, my friend and I, that I bring like a cooler in my car that when we pass by it, we can fill up and keep going. So you just want to make sure that you don't run out, because it can be really dangerous for you. You know, the name of the game with this whole walking thing is, you know, to be safe and to be healthy. And in order to be healthy when you're doing it, you have to really think about some of these things. So I hope this was helpful to you. Like I said before, I'm gonna link some other information from some expert sources about hydration. If you're just a casual walker getting out there for just a few miles, a few days a week, just start thinking about being hydrated on a regular basis. If you just chug a bunch of water in the morning, that's not gonna do the trick, you guys. It has to be regular consumption of water so that your tissues get filled. So yeah, but I will link some information for some professionals. I'd like you to take a look at that stuff, and if you're going to be getting out for longer distances, because I really just want you to be healthy and be safe. So hopefully this is interesting for you and helpful. Hopefully you guys are getting yourself out the door and getting some good exercise, clearing your head and all that great stuff that walking brings. And if you have any questions, please let me know in the comments below. If you're not currently subscribed to my channel, hit that button and YouTube will let you know when I upload new videos to this channel. I'm currently uploading videos to my walking series once a week. I also have videos about makeup review, product review kinds of things, and organizational projects, life management kinds of things. So I hope you'll come along. Take care, you guys. Bye-bye.